Hey guys. Hey Stuart. David, good day. Mike from Cornwall, hello. Mike Osborne, good day. The Shed Shop, good day, James. Dan Shed, hello, Fridge. Your foot, it's about all you're getting today, sorry. Look, I'm done. Honestly, it's been a fairly big day. I got stuck in traffic coming home. Very unimpressed about that. Itchy Boots promised a new video up today, and it hasn't arrived yet, so we're all feeling a bit, I'm feeling a bit discombobulated about that. Premiere's at 1 a.m, so that's not going to happen. Tea and Biscuits, g'day. 624 Dudley, g'day. I don't know what exciting things you're here for. There's a pair of work boots with paint on it. There's a lamp. There's a pair of work shoes. Sponsored by Duck Feet, not sponsored. There's a very untidy bookcase and a stool. There's a drafting desk. There's a laundry basket. And some Model Engineer magazines. Some books. And distracted by angle shot, yeah. So, uncertain whether I'm going to stay up till 1 o'clock to watch the Itchy Boots video when it premieres, but I will probably very much like to watch it in the morning. Might catch the train in, watch it on the train. Anyway, what else is happening? There's not very much happening here. I went down yesterday and we got that shaft for the saw bench all finished. It's in the back of the car, and I went out and I took a thumbnail shot in the van, but I can't sort of see very much out there. It's a bit dark on this device to actually get good video, so we did that last week and I apologise for that. But it's this shaft is pretty well complete. The pulley of the main belt pulley's been shortened up to fit the machine again, and it's got to be bored and have a keyway in it. It's probably this week. The bearings have still got to be bored, so I'm looking for someone with either a horizontal boring mill or a big horizontal mill, something like that we can just set them up and run a boring bath through them reasonably accurately. Might call in and see a mate with them at some point who's got a couple of machines and sort of see if he's got any ideas about it. But I'd like to get all that back together. So that's a work in progress. Made it back up the coast okay. Pretty munted still after last week. I think everyone is. There's a road run. You probably saw pictures on Facebook of Shannondale Steamshed road run. I wasn't there, unfortunately. We took the roller, or they took the roller. It's Dan and Christian and Ken, I think, took the roller down to the pub and then around the block and back. Learned a lot about the roller and didn't break anything major. Added some things to the actual maintenance list, but nothing serious, and pretty good run until they filled up with town water. So pretty good run, and then it all went pear-shaped. But we're going to have to work on that. 32 kilometres or something, I think they did. It's not a bad run, though. So it shows that things are possible. It's the things that need work. There's a little, apparently there's a squeak in the left-hand side in the low pressure big end. Don't know what's caused that. It may be something loose or turned, or something that's just not been a particularly good maintenance job in the past that's causing the issue, or there might be something stuck in it. Or maybe it's just that we've got a blocked oiler or something, it's not getting any oil. Look, we've got room for a launch, but not in this room. At some point, there's room for a couple of machines here, and there's even a 3-phase power point for a big mill, so we're pretty happy with that. It's going to happen sooner rather than later, but at the moment, I really haven't felt much like I might bring a load back on Thursday, but it'll be a workbench and stuff, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if I live with a Unimat, but there's probably room for a launch somewhere. Dan did all the work for the weekend on the road run, anyway. I think he probably needs a spell for a bit. But I sort of was spewing a bit, pretty unhappy that I wasn't sort of there, actually. I may have cried slightly, but anyway. They got it out and run it around the block and come back, and that was pretty good. And what it really needs is a couple of pages of maintenance issues working on a little bit more enthusiastically than they have been so far. So at some point I'm going to have to go down there, but try and get this saw bench, spindle back in before we start really tackling roller issues. Kimberzelic, g'day. Apart from that, got through the 4 days class. It was a bit of a stretch, but we got through. 4th and 5th of March. 4th and 5th of March is probably maintenance day at working bee at Shenandoah Steam Shed. Anyone who's keen to come along, honestly, anyone who's keen to come along, put your name down. I'm pretty keen to see you, and probably will feed you. Dan will feed you anyway. If you want to clamber around on a roof with a slippery sheet of iron in the wind, anyone will feed you. But it should be good fun weekend. We'll try and get that sorted. There's so much to do. One of the things I've got to do is do the other side door of that truck. I've got one side that probably doesn't look too shabby. I'm not unhappy with it. And the other side needs setting up and doing. There's 1,000 jobs to do on the truck. There's 1,000 jobs to do on the steamroller. There's 1,000 jobs to do on the saw bench. There's a few jobs to do on the portable, absolutely. And there's some jobs to do on the shed. There's some jobs to do in the yard. They're just general jobs, like there's a stack of roofing iron there that we really need to pull out and see what's there with a view to building a shed. Yeah, but Dan's a pretty good host, so turn up if you want a day with a couple of steam engines. We might get one day with something in steam, maybe, if we're lucky, and some maintenance jobs. And some good fun, plenty of beer. Anyway, That's at Shannondale behind Grafton, half hour behind Grafton. Hit someone up if you're interested. If anyone is who wants to come, like, absolutely hit us up, because we'd love to see you. We won't work you too hard, I promise. Probably won't run the portable. I think the portables can't be pulled apart, put cladding on. It's got the doors out. It's a very happy sort of estate. I'm not sure about the roller either, to be honest, but we'll see what happens. If someone turns up, well, maybe. But there's some jobs I would really like to do. Just little jobs. There's some paint touch-up on the canopy. There's wood to be cut, yeah. I would like to sort of have a look at some of those oilers, and in particular the big end. It's a full-time job. That's the thing about owning or having an interest or being part of a support crew on a roller, is it's pretty thankless and there's a lot of hard work. Anyway, that's just how it is. Called in on Sunday to the South Coast Restoration Group, South Coast Restoration Society here on the Gold Coast, which I'm a member of. They've got a steamroller there. They've got an Aveling, E-type. I can't remember. I should know the Aveling number system, but at this point I don't. I think it's an E. Odd letters are twin cylinder, and even letters are single cylinder. I think that sounds right. Anyway, I think it's an E. And it's had a custodian who's not been particularly well for quite some time, and I believe that he may have been diagnosed with sort of an illness that's not helping very well with his memory or anything else. So they've got a roller there that hasn't been steamed for 18 months or more. To be honest, it probably is 18 months. It probably is 2 years. So everyone says, oh, it's been 12 months. But I've been a member longer than 12 months and I haven't actually seen the thing in steam. So I reckon it's probably some time longer than that. But it was still full of water, which is a bit of a pity. Half full of water. It had about half-inch in the bottom of the gauge glass. So it had some tannin or something in it to treat the water, but there's a lot of oxygen in the boiler as well, and I don't like that for a couple of years sitting there. And the tender was still full of water too, so I called in and we opened some taps and took some mud holes out and sort of emptied it. Could do with a good hose through and the top door coming out of it, and probably a bit of a look around and a look with a torch and so forth and see what we can find. But it's got some more serious mechanical problems. I believe the cylinder's got the regulator, the face that the regulator works on, which is basically a slide valve up on top. It seems to have had a piece broken out of it or cracked out of it. Someone's put it back in with DevCon, but whether it wants a reinforcing plate or something on it to tighten it all up so it doesn't leak down inside, I'm not sure. I have to have a think about that. But it looks like we may have the job of sort of getting it back in steam. However difficult that is, it hasn't got a current Steam ticket, and I'd be reluctant to test it or to run it without sort of some sort of hydraulic test anyway. If the water's been sitting full of water, the boiler's been sitting full of water. So anyway, that's what's happening with that, and you might see some updates about that, but I didn't do very much, to be honest. I opened a couple of taps and walked around, did a lot of talking, and drank some coffee. What else we do? Oh, I struggled through 4 days of maths and science and physics and chemistry for the boiler attendance course and reciprocating steam engine and operators course. The reciprocating steam one is pretty casual. I mean, I don't think I have any problems at all with that. Heat exchangers and boilers and boiler chemistry and steam tables and things like that, I might struggle with a little bit more, and in particular government rules and regulations. But anyway, that's where we're at. So that's what's happening in my life. It seems to be full of full-size steam, and I really should be moving stuff in here and building something a bit smaller, but it hasn't happened yet. Anyway, thanks, Kimber. So, what else? I had thought to do a robotics or a 3D printing project of some sort, or even an RC car project or something. But anyway, I'm going to sit down and have a look at it. I've got to print it out. That's where we're at with that. And I've left the home 3 days in a row without actually having anything downloaded to a thumb drive to print. So I might go to Officeworks tomorrow night and print it out, and we'll have a look at it and write it up. That's where we're at. A bit slack, but we did make it back here, and I've sort of... It's not like there's nothing to do. Anyway, hey Genuine Randy, good to see you. What other exciting things? You think we would have a sort of a full-size Steam channel happening between the few of us and upload stuff to it? We should have sort of like a community channel and upload stuff. But we need a cameraman. Anyone who's keen on being a cameraman can come and take some bad footage of us and we could upload it. Mark's Garage, good day, 10-second recap. Not really. What have we done this week? Nothing. What have we done? Yeah, Steam course. Got through the Steam course. Got the spindle sort of getting a little bit closer towards going back in the sawn bitch. Boys went on a road run on the weekend. Photos on Facebook on the Steamroller page. Is honesty. It's a really good theory to have a YouTube channel like that, but there's enough work in actually just doing the work without actually making bad footage late at night with cameras and things. It's just not going to be good. Gosh. So I had serious thoughts about all sorts of things I was going to do in the next few months, weeks. I can't see any of it really happening. If I get a bit of a workshop set up, I've got watch jobs coming out my ears that need a lathe, so I need to get that sorted out. I'd like to get a miller here, and probably then I'd start getting a bit enthusiastic about actually making a model. Need a trip to the foundry at some point. That's another job. I've got to make a cap for the Weiler for this saw bench and a couple of other jobs, the little jobs that I want to get done eventually. So it's all sort of dependent on money, to be honest. Yeah, you just got to one thing at a time with some of this stuff. There is some pretty good drawings out there, but yeah. Anyway, steam whistles were all very well and good, but there's horses on the property and they don't like steam whistles very much. So steam whistles at Dan's are sort of a bit of an irrelevant thing, to be honest. Not on the list of priorities, you could say. What else? They're getting better. I wasn't worried about the horse, Dan. Just saying. Hey, Paul. Yeah, I was more worried about the horse. Anyway, that's sort of the rundown of what's happening. Not very much else. Nice, Stuart. Good stuff. Good thing for a video. Make a video about it. Oh, well, we'll talk, Stuart. I've got all mine on a database, so if you want a copy of it, you can write off against them which ones you've got, and I could make you an offer for them. But storage is a problem at the moment, so I'm not taking on boxes and boxes of magazines. Need to get some stuff here. As far as the workshop goes. And that's a priority. Don't know what else really. Haven't done a lot, so I haven't really. You could, Stuart. We better get that box organised and up here, I think, at some point soon. Give me a couple of weeks. Got to find a couple of grand for a boiler course. Apparently, a working bee on the 4th or 5th of March, I'm actually locked in, it says here. I would love to be locked in, but we're going to have a talk about that. Also says we should have shaft and bearings for the saw bench back by then. That's pretty, yeah, I'm not particularly confident with any of that stuff, but we'll see how we go. Hey, Russ Knox, good to see you. Anyway, what else did we see? I really need some way of sharing pictures on this, and it's going to come. It's something I need to sit down and work out. There's my fleet lined up in the early morning mist and the rain. I think it might have been evening actually. Rain come. There's some sign writing. Doesn't look too terrible. Christian's little Jacko boiler. I don't think we saw a good picture of that live stream the other night. That was taken last Wednesday night, I think, but there's terrible lighting for things like that. Another little job I did was logbooks. Tap the right screen to focus it. And it's a box we put on the wall for logbooks, so that's another job that's been done. Can you do donuts with a steamroller? Yes, apparently. I've not actually seen it. But here's some pictures. This is out on the road. Really needs some cosmetic work. Bit rough around the edges, but did get a wash at least. And down at Cootes Crossing outside the service station. Probably best if this remains blurry. There's Christian and Dan. The little fella in the middle is Dan. And that's Ken on the end. It's another one of Ken's pictures from the road trip. It's a bit of quality merchandising that I thought was worth sharing. I'm sure you've all had a good Valentine's Day, but if that was on the cards, well, who am I to judge? Take care, Matt. Anyway, just looking through, I don't think there's anything else that's particularly useful or informative or relevant. But most of my camera roll is like there's shoe repairs and watch straps and car keys and so forth and so on. And some really bad memes. Anyway, so that's all that's been happening here. Very excellent nutcracker. Getting the nut back is a bit of a problem. So yeah, most of my telephones watch stuff and order numbers and parts books and repair manuals on PDF and that sort of stuff. But anyway, that's kind of what happens with me and my telephone and my days off and my days at work and so forth and so on. I think it's a private road, but probably charge the residents. It'd be all right, Stuart. I think that there's certainly money to be made. The phone should be a tax deduction, and it probably will be in this next year. Oh, James, there's only one way to go. Go find yourself honestly, a decent mechanical mechanism and rebuild it. Good places to start. If you can find an Amiga 250 series, man, it's an expensive watch now, but it never used to be. It's a very, very, very good entry-level watch to restore. The other one that's probably a really good watch to mess around with, probably the Unitas, like the big pocket watch movement from Switzerland, but they're getting a bit expensive too. The other good one to mess with is the Seiko 7S26 or the 7009. They're all pretty much the same. Lots of bits available, pretty much indestructible. You need some decent lights and you need a decent pair of glasses and some sharp tweezers. You'll have no problems at all with it. Going blind doesn't stop you. So I'd like to have time to build a clock too, but that's not really going to happen either. At this point, probably I'd like time just to build a steam locomotive or a steam engine or finish one of the ones I've started, but that's not really going to happen either. So, there's silence there for a bit. Don't really have much else to offer, really, or what's everyone else doing? Come on, someone else take a bit of a leading role in the conversation and tell us what you're up to. All the things you're doing, all the things you've done this week. Morning, Jim. I attempted NH34. That's not really a NH34, NH36. Yeah, I'm sure we don't, Peter, but you know, it's a tough job and someone's got to do it. NH34, you're talking about the latest Seiko. 7 screws the size of fleas. Yeah, big screws in those things. Rasnox is working on a rear tool post for the lathe. It sounds a pretty exciting project. I feel a bit sort of crap because I haven't really done any actual machining work or anything else the last little while. I didn't bring that shaft inside here so we could have a look at it because it's too heavy. The thing weighs a ton. It's really a bit over-engineered, to be honest, for that saw bench, but we'll get it all together and I might make a video about putting it together and setting it up. Not that we know anything about that, it's just that this is what we did wrong and probably you shouldn't do it next time. But managed to press the pulley apart. I think I had a picture of the pulley, did I? No idea where. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. There's a pulley with the shaft out of it. Yeah, I don't know about aluminium casting steady rests. It's very difficult, very easy to get them wrong. This is the inside of the bore, so it's a pretty rough old casting, to be honest. It's not a real good quality pulley, but I guess they were made for price, and no one ever bothered to pour them, redo them again. This is one of the spokes, which is a definite crack in it. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a definite crack. That's pretty ordinary, to be honest. But having said that, that crack, which is across one of those spokes, which one is it? I think it's just across there. It's probably been in that pulley since it was new, to be honest. I reckon it's a foundry casting crack, shrinkage crack from when it was cooled down. Someone shoved a coat of paint over it and sold it. And it's probably got another 30 years left in it. So we're not going to worry too much about that. This still needs to be bored out. It's got a very shallow keyway in it there somewhere. There it is. You see that? Very shallow keyway. And it had 2 bits of hacksaw blade in there with a grub screw on it to hold it on the shaft, which is quality. I didn't know they made one, to be honest, Jim. Is that a Myford accessory? Sounds like a bit of a job. More cracked than says. The guideline to insert JB Weld. I'm not even going to bother with it because the issue is that if you block it up or if you braze it or weld it, right, and you get a hot day or a cold day, what you're going to find is that it's just going to crack again. It's going to bust something out of the side of it because it's got to get the expansion and contraction and metal's got to go somewhere, and at this point it allows for it. So I would think that it's probably been like it since it was new. And they had a coat of paint over it. It's a pretty rough old pulley, but it should be good when we put it back together and put a coat of paint on it. It's 10mm shorter on each end, so it should fit nicely in between. I'm not going to bother welding it. That sounds like a whole world of hurt, to be honest. So I think we'll leave it. I really honestly don't think it'll ever bust. It won't ever fly to bits anyway. There's more holding it together than just that spoke. So that's what we're doing there. This is actually 2 3/4 inches, I think. 2 3/4, I think. 68mm. And I think Marcus is going to actually bore that out to 70 to match the. Well, I know he's going to. I just got to get him to do it. Bore it out to 70 to match the shaft, and put a deeper keyway in it, and then we can lock it down with a couple of bolts with the key, and it'll be a nice job with a captive key in the keyway. So from that stage, next job I guess is really the bearings, and we need to, we're going to talk about that and see what we can come up with. If I can get them done for nothing, I'd be very happy. But we'll see. It's a fairly solid, sort of serious sort of a machining job though, and not a particularly straightforward or easy one with the sort of equipment most of my friends have. Anyway, that's that. That's the progress on the sawmill. No one's bothered to get underneath it yet, and this is talking about me in the third person. No one's bothered to get underneath it yet and clean all the rust off the inside and put a coat of paint on the rest of it. But it might happen too before we put paint on the outside. I believe that I have to go and pick up a tin of paint to put on the outside. Nice gloss enamel. The undercoat looks well, and probably could leave it in undercoat. But it does tend to absorb all the grease and oil and stuff and anything else that gets stuck on it. It seems to suck it in like undercoat does. So I reckon a coat of gloss on top of it would make it a lot nicer. And it's a fraction darker too. So that's where we're at. I'd like to see how the cast 3D steady goes. As well as printing a pattern, it's probably, this is from experience, because I had a really bad run with cast steadies, to be honest, and never had much luck with them. But print one too that actually fits the bed, and then you can check center heights and openings and all those sort of things. If you've got a good prototype that works, then you've got some sort of idea what you're going to machine your casting to. My thoughts, a couple of years ago I cast up a steady and I've still got the casting sitting there. It's not ideal, to be honest. And it was a bit of a dog to cast because it was brass and it was sort of unequal sort of weights on the thing, so it was very easy to get shrinkage and tear out and stuff. But the casting eventually turned out okay, and it was such an ordeal that I really didn't want to get the guy to do it, to cast me another one. But there were some issues with it. I wish I'd 3D printed one, or I'd had a 3D printer to print up one that actually worked. That would have been a pretty good sort of a deal. My thoughts now on making a steady for the launch, if I was going to do one, probably run to getting a bit of 3/4 plate and getting it wire EDM cut, and then you've got something that basically sits straight on there, and all you got to do is mill some slots in it. That's what I think anyway. Morning, David. To me, that seems like the best way really to make that work. And wire EDM's nice. It's a lot nicer if you've got someone who's got a friend who's got one that they can use to do a job for you. But just thoughts. Also really wanted to do a signwriting job on the van at some point, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I've got sort of a pretty good idea what I want, which is a bit of a miracle for me. Usually if you can picture it, you can usually paint it. Some jobs are a bit difficult, but that might be all right. So the secret will be to get one side of it wrapped in silver, probably the window panel on the side wrapped, and then if we've got to take the paint off it later, we can just get someone to peel it off. So that's thoughts on that, but it mightn't happen for months, so don't hold your breath on that. My tablet stand on the Irwin Quick G-clamp is undergoing some major renovation or re-engineering, because it's not as good as it could be. So that's another job that we need in the next little while. Anyway. Pretty sleepy, to be honest. Won't be long out of bed tonight. I'm about ready to crash. Is that the one I left there? No, that's a charger. Don't worry too much about that. There's 1,000 of them. I've got about 10 of them. I'll pick it up at some point. Maybe I did leave the clamp there. Maybe that's where that is. I may or may not have brought it back. Anyway, it could be like that. I left a heap of stuff there this week on this trip because I was going to turn straight around on Friday night and come back down, but it didn't happen. Anyway. Dan, you totally should, because that's the way dreams and projects start. Yeah, that'll be it. Should be good. This is not very effective, no. Another job that the roller needs is a couple of chocks, so we might get some timber. I'm wondering whether we just get treated sleepers and screw a couple of them together and cut them out and a bit of a radius on them. give them all a bit of a linish up, and then make some plates with a half a chain hook, like half a chain link on the back, or a D-bit, or probably a eye-bolt, something like that in the back, and reinforcing steel plate, and a short bit of chain to hang off the drawbar, and then they're always with the roller, and they don't get them mistaken for, they don't get burnt in the fire and stuff like that when people mistake them for firewood and stuff. So that's another project. It's probably a pretty quick little couple of day weekend project. It wouldn't take long to do that. Dan, if you would, I might get you to measure those sleepers. Then at least I can get a couple of bits of plate cut. But anyway, I've done a lot of kilometres this last fortnight or so, and I've done a fair bit of studying. I'm still up to my eyeballs in that. Books are all over there on the desk, and yeah, really feel a bit unorganised at the moment. Anyway, I might call this a bit early. Thanks everyone for joining in, though. I really appreciate you being there. Good to catch up with everyone and see what they're doing. Should have some video updates at some point soon. I've got some footage on my GoPro, but it's not particularly good footage. And at some point I'd like to upgrade the GoPro to a DJI, which I think is a better camera. But anyway, hasn't happened yet. I'm having trouble with GoPros nearly every time I use it now. It's just silly little things that irritate me. Need Dan to get on Discord. He's got nothing else to do, you know. That's the trouble. And I'm a bit the same lately. Stirling powered watchmaker's lathe coming soon. That sounds exciting. We were talking about Stirling engines the other night, me and my friend here. Some fairly interesting innovations that I've seen. Anyway, gonna call it. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Said all that. Be kind to each other, especially to me. Don't judge me too harshly. I won't be long out of bed, but very good to catch up with you all, and more soon. I'm out.